Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge from SIBO Global Markets. I'm going to give you the 411 on what was going on with Google and Apple and how all of that might be worth, I don't know, maybe 25 to $100 billion. Pete and I will break it down for you on today's Rebel's Edge. Bang. Welcome back. It's great to be back here at SIBO Global Markets, Pete. As you can see right over my shoulder, bang.
I'll tell you what, it's always great to see the guys who are traders, right? I mean, what we used to do standing on that trading floor, and we both miss it, but you get at least the opportunity to get down there once in a while, and yeah, there's a great energy on that floor.
There surely is, and yeah, maybe we'll have to do something Friday, Pete, from the New York Stock Exchange or something. But it's certainly good to be here at SIBO Global Markets. And there was some yelling a few minutes ago, and the VIX, I'm noticing here, Pete, is already down 29 cents to 1688 today after being up at 1757 on the highs of the day. So there's some trading going on. You get a little background noise here.
Yeah, some screaming.
Well, let's go right into macro minute. We got labor market, non-farm payroll, NFP coming our way Friday, Pete. And it is likely, as we all know, to influence the Fed policy decisions. I suspect that will still be something in the neighborhood of 25 basis point cut in September. But depending on the number, it could be 50. What do you say, Pete?
I stand there right there with you, John. As a matter of fact, listening to Waller and the fact that he will likely, I think, in my opinion anyway, be the next Fed chair, I think it's pretty interesting. The fact that he's talked about a lot of different cuts coming over the next few meetings that they've got out there in front of it. Like you just said, is it a quarter or is it 50? I would still lean on the quarter, but you never know.
Oh, yeah.
They have missed along the way. So I would say it this way. I think it's going to be at least a quarter. How about that? And I think Waller's right. I think there's got to be some cuts, and those cuts have to start coming a little bit more quickly than they had. And he talked about multiple cuts. So I think that's what we're in for, John.
Yeah, and the president had to love when he heard that Waller was saying that, since he kind of is supporting him for the next Fed chair, so it seems. But it also seems like Jerome Powell is just asleep at the wheel, Pete. Everything from these cuts that should have happened, I think, to the idea that he should have suspended Lisa Cook, at least temporarily. Maybe he doesn't fire her, but he should have suspended her, because here's a person that's on the Fed. And yet she has two primary residences, one in Michigan and one in Florida. And oh, by the way, another in Massachusetts. That, come on. I mean, at some point, it's up to him as the boss, the head man at the Fed, to sort of lay down some ground rules, and doesn't have to fire her, but he should suspend her while they're investigating exactly what went on. But
makes sense.
So anyway, let's take a look at silver, Pete, because silver is my fantastic future today. It was $27 back in April. Today it trades through 37. And when you look at a chart of that thing, man, a 39, almost 40% jump out of a precious metal. That is my fantastic future.
Yeah, understandably so. I totally get it. You know what's been stagnant as all get out, just sitting in a really tight range, is crude oil, John. I mean, every time I look at it, I'm like, well, there's not really a lot to say here. But where there is a lot to say, and you talked about it briefly, is the volatility index. Well, shoot, John, it was just the other day that this thing made this nice jump up, into the 19s, and then pulled back. And then pulled back again this morning, as you're talking about. I mean, we were in the 17s already, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, we're below 17. We're into the 16s. I would say that there is something about the fact that this thing has been in a fairly tight range. It's maybe widening just a little bit, but it still seems to have the sense to me that it's going lower, not higher. And we were at 14 not too terribly long ago. talked about that yesterday. Here we are in the 16s, barring some crazy news out there. We might get back into those 14s faster than people think.
All right. Well, it's another day for a small cap spotlight, and none other than the CEO of Market Rebellion, Mark Lopresti, coming your way with that small cap spotlight.
Thanks so much, Pete and John. Today, we have another exciting small cap spotlight. You know, in these segments, we feature small cap issuers that have some pretty big things going on and that we think may be poised for some significant growth. This morning's small cap spotlight issuer is A to Z Customate Solutions, NASDAQ symbol AZ. These guys do something that is both near and dear to my heart and extraordinarily frustrating. I'm talking, of course, about data and alternative data and shopping in the grocery store. These guys have created a smart cart technology that makes grocery shopping seamless and easy for the shopper, increases revenue for the grocery store, and improves overall sales for the brands that you buy. I don't know about you, but wandering around the grocery store looking for that one item that I know must be in aisle 4, 7, or 9 drives me absolutely nuts. These guys announced today a huge $51 million order for 5,000 of these units. And by the way, it's not an entire shopping cart. This is a device that attaches to your traditional shopping cart, making deployment even easier. The stock on this news, well, as you can imagine, it's up in a big way. It was up as much as 5% this morning. It's up around 3 and change percent as we're doing this Rebel's Edge live. Take a look at this. This, by the way, I'm required by Reg FD, fair disclosure, to let you know that we both are shareholders in this company, as well as we are paid, compensated for featuring the company in this small cap spotlight. Check it out, AZ, it's A to Z Customate Solutions, AZ symbol on the NASDAQ today, announcing a $51 million order for the deployment of 5,000 of their smart cart technology units. Check it out. Back to you, Pete and John.
All right, diving into the stocks, Pete, take a look, folks, at Google, Googl, because they're not going to be forced to sell their flagship Chrome web browser. Now, this is the one that, as I said, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars that flow both ways because of Chrome's dominance in the market and Apple's use of a lot of what Google provides. The fact that they may have faced the idea of losing that Chrome browser, that was a big deal. So turns out, though, Pete, somebody was pretty bullish on the idea that Google would be able to keep the Chrome browser. And for that reason, they took a shot on some calls. Well, that shot, as they frequently do when they make big bets like this, has paid off huge with unusual activity, right?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, when you see the unusual activity that comes in here, and the next thing you know, you see the stock make another move to the upside, John, and this is multi-year highs, actually all-time highs right now, the way this thing has been moving, or at least 52-week highs, I should say. It's really making a big, substantial move again to the upside. What, about 9% or so? Makes a lot of sense. And by the way, it still trades at a 20 PE. So despite the fact that it's made these moves and hitting new 52-week highs all along the way, and again today, it says a lot, the fact that it's only at a 20 PE. I think that when you look at that, maybe we look later on at Apple, we'll see a little bit of a different story going on in terms of where they stand right now. But right now with the 20 PE, I find this one to be very, very intriguing. I think there's still plenty of upside for all the right reasons right now for Google.
Well, Barclays agrees with you, Pete. They raised their price target for Alphabet, Google, to $250 a share. Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan took theirs to $260. And if you want to know how we trade these kinds of situations, folks, when we have unusual option activity, well, just like here at SIBO Global Markets, we trade these and set ourselves up. And if you want to know how we set ourselves up, grab that virtual pass, because the virtual pass will let you be right there with us. Even though you can't be with us in person, you can be with us virtually in Aventura, Florida. That is September 19th and 20th. That's a Friday, which means we have live trading. When we see unusual activity, we'll be able to trade it live. You'll see exactly how Pete sets himself up to take advantage of that unusual. You'll see how I do it. You'll see how Wayne Razzie or Ryan Mastro or any of the great traders that we'll have there, maybe even Grant Cardone, because Grant will be there, Pete, and that guy loves to trade. So if you want to see all of us doing some live trading on Friday the 19th, as well as a lot of great instruction from Bill Johnson and a host of our other guys, Jeff Garbaz, on Saturday the 20th, grab that virtual pass. You will thank us for it, because you'll be a better trader if you really know what's going on, right, Pete?
Absolutely, John. I think and the educational part is obviously very, very important. So you're not there in person, but it sure does feel like you're in person with this virtual pass. It gives you that big of an opportunity to watch everybody, listen to everybody. You're just not there in person. And you know what? That's unfortunate, but we did warn you, but you still get the opportunity with the virtual pass.
And Pete, they get $200 that they can apply towards any of our services. So whether it's education or a subscription product, just by buying that virtual pass, you get $200 to apply towards any of those services. So truly a great deal for any of you that can take advantage of that, September 19th and 20th. All right, let's take a look at Dollar Tree, Pete, because they raised their annual sales and profit outlook. Sales from continuing operations were up 12%. However, Dollar Tree took a dive after they said current quarterly profits will be mostly flat quarter on quarter. And people had expected better news than that. So what do? Palms out, sold.
Yeah, this reaction's a little bit odd though, John, just because of the fact that when you looked at some of the numbers that they were able to put up and what they were looking for, potentially with the comp sales were up 6.5%. The recent quarter, yeah, maybe there was some concerns. Obviously, tariffs, everybody has talked about that, but not everybody's been impacted so much by that. Maybe that was something that, whatever it was, they've grabbed onto the one negative, because everywhere else you look, to your point, John, I mean, the sales were up 12.3%. That's a nice big jump, $4.6 billion in Q2. So that perspective was great. But somewhere in there, for whatever reason, there was the one or two negatives that I think they glommed onto, which is a little bit different here. I think it actually creates a bit of an opportunity, John, because of the fact that this was a stock that on the 52-week high is 118. Here we are trading, call it 102, 103, something like that. I think that maybe creates an opportunity. I look at the PE. I think it's very fair. I look at all the numbers that they put up and what they see for the future. I think when I look at that, I'm probably more bearish, just despite the fact that it's down 7.5% today. It might be one of those that in the next few days, if it can smooth out a little bit, I think there's some upside there.
Well, how about another retailer, Pete? Macy's, symbol M like Mary, or Macy's. Basically, the company's turnaround strategy is showing significant progress. That's what they said on the conference call, Pete, and better than expected results and raising an outlook. Yeah, that'll get you the nice rally that Macy's shares are seeing today. So if you're a shareholder, you know that Pete and I see a lot of unusual activity in this one. However, even though I love patting ourselves on the back, we did not have unusual going into this one, because the people have been playing short-term, Pete. And the last time they played in a big way, well, those options have expired. So a lot of folks that were playing didn't catch this one. And that's too bad for them, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, if every single unusual was perfect, yeah, that would be great. But they aren't, and you don't always even know what the strategy is behind it. But you know what? It's something that we've been watching for a really long time, and I like what we oftentimes do see on the positive side, like we were talking about earlier when we were talking about Google. All right, John. As far as Macy's though, they raised the outlook. They've actually tried to change things because they had so many quarters in a row that they just couldn't get things going. As a matter of fact, this was their first positive comp sales in the highest level in 3 years. So nice to see that for them. They put up some pretty nice numbers overall. I see all of that. I think it makes a lot of sense. Are they at the 52-week highs, though? No, they're not at new 52-week highs. They're still a little short of that. But this particular earnings, I think, was pretty impressive. I think they were pretty pleased about what they were able to accomplish this past quarter, John. When you look at those sales, that was a nice beat. You look at the earnings were absolutely, they crushed 41 cents. They were looking for 18. So that was a big number. And because of that, I can understand why people are pretty excited about this stock right now.
Well, let's hit just one more, Pete. We mentioned it at the top with Google, and it's Apple, because these guys are practically partners. They certainly have partnerships with some of their, like Apple uses Google search engine, in case you didn't know it, for iPhones and other Apple devices. So this deal worth billions of dollars to Google, but for Apple, Pete, this is a $25 billion annual revenue from traffic acquisition payments that they get. So huge deal for Apple. It's why I think we've seen unusual activity for the last several weeks in Apple, and just the recent activity in here. When the Apple shares were, I think, 231, Pete, they were buying a lot of upside calls. Well, those calls have worked out pretty well as well. And we'll keep you up on that, folks. But this one looks like a big win for Apple as well as Google.
Yeah, with this default engine, John, you said it exactly right. The partnership that they've got going on, this is worth billions and billions of dollars. I mean, this is absolutely an incredible thing. The Google sharing, the search data, and all the rest of it. The stock at 237 is up there, and it's near 52-week highs, but not quite where it is, John. 260 was the high that I've seen as far as the 52-week. But I did mention this earlier. The fact that the PE for Apple right now is a 29, I think if you go back not too long ago, you'd be seeing Apple a lot closer to the low 20s, call it 21, 22, something like that. But the fact that it's up at a 29, is it a little lofty? It might be. I mean, it just depends on, are they going to have enough success in the quarter? And we know September is always the month that Apple's going to release certain things, and we'll know a little bit more about the future for Apple. But I think this partnership, it speaks for itself. And this fact that it's up 3%, I actually might have expected even a little bit more, because these are such big numbers like you were talking about, John.
Well, I certainly like Apple. It is still one of my top 3 holdings, Pete. And Pete has owned it a lot longer than I have, folks. But all they do is win. And this was certainly a big win for Apple and Google this week. All right, Pete, let's take a look at a little video that we grabbed about a quarterback that the University of Michigan was able to grab courtesy of one Larry Ellison. Even though Larry went to Illinois, I think it's his wife that went to Michigan. But let's let the video tell you a little bit more about the player and the money.
Wait, so Michigan just dropped $12.5 million on an 18-year-old QB? So apparently the second richest man in the world had to help Michigan land their new quarterback. Yeah, this ain't just NIL anymore. This is Wall Street meets college football.
This is not NIL.
Bryce Underwood. Right. He became his high school's starting QB as he went 54 overall, grabbed 2 national titles, and even went undefeated in 2022. Basically, he was treating high school defenses like they were on JV Madden settings. By the time he graduated, Bryce was the #1 recruit in the 2025 class. Originally committed to LSU, but then Michigan said, "Hold my billionaire." Reports say Bryce signed a $12.5 million NIL deal with Michigan's Champion Circle Collective, averaging about $3 million per year. That's not a deal. That's an NFL rookie contract. And here's the kicker. Rumors say Oracle founder Larry Ellison, worth around $280 billion, helped back it. This man has enough money to buy like every Big Ten school and still have change for a Costco hot dog. Oh, and Tom Brady made a few calls too, because of course he did. Michigan basically assembled the Avengers to land this kid. Now, Bryce is 18 years old, already Michigan's first true freshman starting QB in 16 years. So here's the question. Did Michigan just buy themselves the future of college football? Or did they just drop $12.5 million on the world's most expensive freshman orientation?
I like the presentation from that guy. That was great.
Yeah. And, you know, especially with Arch Manning having, you know, and I think Arch will have better games. We've seen him have better games where he had to step in for Ewers last year, for instance. But didn't look good against Ohio State. And the teams he played, when you look at some of the high school teams that Arch was playing, I mean, but this kid to be national champions and so forth in high school, and that's more or less based on press and everything else, but still, he is an impressive quarterback, Pete. And the fact that they spent this kind of money on him, you gotta like that.
That's real money. That is real money. It's unbelievable how NIL has just blossomed into this monstrous thing. I mean, these guys, rookie contracts, in some cases more than rookie contracts. Some of these guys are going to be taking pay cuts when they go to the NFL. I mean, it's really amazing. John, let's stick with that with the whole quarterback thing, though. I like that whole topic. So Aaron Rodgers, he's now the team captain of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he's won those guys over. I think he's won the head coach over. We'll have to see. I mean, we'll have to see when there's a little bit of controversy going on to know a little bit more about how is Aaron fitting in and how does that work with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because that coach does not take flack from any player ever. And I don't expect him to take any flack from Aaron either. So we'll see when there is a negative moment how they handle that. I think it'll be kind of interesting. But then you've got the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy. They've got a rookie quarterback. They're going to be starting him. And the Vikings, a lot of people are thinking the Vikings could be a pretty interesting team this year with J.J. McCarthy because of the little bit that we have seen so far. But that's still something to wait. But I did watch something today with Joe Montana. And he was talking about who are the top 3 quarterbacks right now in the NFL, right? So his top 3 were Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert, believe it or not. And he threw in like a 3B with Jalen Hurts. Now, do I agree with him? I kind of do. I got Josh Allen, but somewhere I think you got to have Lamar Jackson. I don't know how everything we've seen, John, this guy almost every year is a potential MVP of the league. And I think it's because of how well he runs, how fast he is, his ability to be able to read coverages and throw the ball as strong as he does. I think he's got to be in there somewhere. And I'm going to throw in Burrow, but on my 3B, how about Brock Purdy? I know people will say, there's a reason they paid him what they paid him, John. He got paid that $250+ million contract because he's been damn good. And the only time he wasn't good was when he was missing his left tackle, his starting running back, a couple of wide receivers, a tight end that's banged up, and blah, 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 blah. And suddenly everybody thinks he's not really all that good. I'll tell you what, the kid is all that good. And as long as they can stay a little bit healthier than last year and have McCaffrey in the backfield, I think that he's going to have a really, really amazing year. What about you? What do you think? Do you have a top 3 or what do you think?
I don't think you could do it, Pete, without having Patrick Mahomes. Now, the Super Bowl was not Patrick Mahomes' fault.
No.
The fact that Philadelphia just ran roughshod on them and the fact that their defense was smothering and they had no answer. And quite frankly, it exposed their offensive line. So I would still put Mahomes in my top 3. I would say Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. I got nothing against Burrow. I love him. I got nothing against Lamar Jackson. But I would take Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. That's just my thinking, Pete.
Sure.
And the fact that Patrick Mahomes has these Super Bowl wins stacked up on his record, I think that's well-deserved praise. And I think he'll come back stronger this year as long as they can protect him better than they did in the Super Bowl.
And they've been paying people up. They've been paying for offensive linemen, so they're doing what they can. And he's, let's be honest, he's been around for a little while now. And I'm not saying he's old or too old or anything like that, but he's not the same guy that he was 3-4 years ago, which is saying a lot. But I don't think he's the same athlete that he was just a few years ago. You just start getting a little bit older, and I think that's kind of where Patrick is. I like him. It's hard to not have him on there, John. The guy has only been an MVP and all the rest of it. I mean, he's great for sure. I just wanted one other thing I wanted to point out for you, John, was this one. So Shohei Ohtani, we talk about him all the time. How about this? He yesterday hit his 100th home run as a Dodger. He hasn't been with the Dodgers very long, by the way, but as a Dodger, finally he hit his 100th home run, and I got it in front of me here. It took him 444 games to get the 100 home runs that he got with the Angels. This time, it only took him 294 games to get to the 100. This guy is getting better with age, and it's amazing just watching what he's able to do. And I would emphasize one last thing about Ohtani. When he was running the bases, John, I wanted to take note of this when I was watching him do his most recent home run. He's running the bases. That guy's big. I mean,
oh yeah,
he's like a 6'4", 6'5" guy, and you sometimes forget that because he's got the baby face. He walks up to the plate. He does this and that. But I'll tell you what, he's a big human being, and there's a good reason why, with the bat speed he's got and the big long arms, there's a good reason why that guy's hitting home runs and hitting 100 home runs for two of the LA teams. That's not so bad.
Yeah, 47 homers, I think, so far this year, Pete. The kid's hitting, almost 280. The kid,
Yeah.
the full-grown man is hitting at a 280 clip. And by the way, he can still throw strikes, Pete.
Yeah.
And he can throw the ball right by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, there's a reason that this guy is a 3-time MVP, and it's well-deserved. And he is one of the players that if you have a chance to see him play, you should. Because A, we never know, I hope he plays for 10 or 15 more years, but you never know how long a guy is going to be able to play. Because, if you get a Tommy John's surgery and you can't come back and all of a sudden it affects his hitting or whatever, all those kinds of things. But
Yeah.
Go see him, go see Aaron Judge whenever you get a chance, because they are generational players, both these guys. And the fact that, like I say, a 3-time MVP, looking at how he's playing right now, Pete, it might be
Could have 4.
could have 4.
Yeah. Not so bad.
Well, we appreciate all of you guys joining us. We have a lot of fun with the show, The Rebel's Edge. We try to give you the macro minute, the fantastic futures, our take on some stocks, maybe even some UOA like we did today, unusual option activity. And, of course, we'll remind you one more time that if you want to attend down in Aventura, Florida, we can't sneak you in, except virtually. And virtually we can get you in. You just got to grab that QR code, and you also get $200 off on any subscription or educational product that we've got for buying that virtual pass. It's worth it, folks. So seriously consider it. Pete will be on here tomorrow. I'll be flying out to New York. So bang, The Rebel's Edge tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. See you then.